Imagine it's 3 a.m. You're on the couch after that kind of fight with your wife that cuts deep. That night, she said something I couldn't shake. When did the dream start costing this much? I thought that fight was about proving I didn't need anyone to achieve it. I was wrong. The real fight was keeping my marriage, my kids, and myself from being destroyed in the process. The dream never sends you a bill. It just collects in moments you thought were free. Most people love this concept of disruption in business. We put it in the posters, we make documentaries about it, but here's what we don't say out loud. Disruption isn't free. It always extracts a price in presence, in relationships, in peace. That fire that many of us have and the drive and obsession of winning needs to be constantly fed. But unless you anchor that fire, it will burn through everything you love. For people wired like me, disruption isn't a buzzword. It's survival or get left behind. I didn't end up on that couch by accident. I've been wired for disruption my entire life. Back at school, they didn't call it neurodivergent. They just called it trouble, a problem to manage too much. So I got angry. If nobody was gonna light the way for me, I'm gonna set my own path on fire. Years later, I learned I'm on the spectrum. And suddenly, the chaos started making a little more sense. The tunnel vision, the hyperfocus, and the drive that felt like obsession. For years, I thought I was defective. Like I missed the rule book everyone else got. But I was just wired differently. When a neurotypical person has a big idea, they may jot it down and revisit it later. My brain locks in like a hawk. Hours just disappear and the world vanishes. ADHD brains process dopamine differently. The reward system is wired for hyperfocus. It's not just determination, it's chemistry. That's the truth about many wired this way. We rarely fit the lanes. And when the lanes don't fit you, you're forced to build your own. That's disruption. And disruption often begins when belonging ends. It could create something beautiful or quietly feed a monster you never saw coming. When the world keeps telling you that you're too much, you spend your entire life trying to prove you're enough. And that's what I thought success would fix. I climbed the corporate ladder. I wasn't asking for a seat. I was begging to be seen. My position in sales and management gave me everything I thought I wanted. Applause, promotions, the kind of trophies you could hold up in a photo. But the truth is, it wasn't about the job. It was about acceptance. I was finally being seen. Every promotion was a hit. And like any drug, it never lasts. There's always a next quarter, another number to hit. They always want more. So I kept giving them more. And that's when it hit me. Belonging wasn't waiting for me at the top. But knowing that didn't stop me from climbing. And deep down, I knew I'd never find enough there. So I walked away from the ladder to build my own marketing business. And the best part about being wired like me, hyperfocus. It is a gift. It's like pouring rocket fuel on your dreams. I can outwork, out-hustle, outlast anyone. But rocket fuel doesn't care what it burns. It will burn everything if you can't contain it. Building my own business didn't silence the voice inside me. It woke up something way worse. A monster whispering, "Not enough. At first, I fed it with approval. Every compliment, every nod felt like a hit. But like any drug, it wore off too fast. So I turned to something darker. Revenge. I wanted them to regret ever doubting me. I wanted them to choke on my success. In my mind, I needed to go from undesirable to undeniable. And it didn't matter what the cost was. And if you've ever told yourself, they'll see one day. The real question is, what will be left of you when they do? For me, that answer was brutal. I wasn't building a future. I was building an illusion for the little kid inside me who thought being undeniable finally meant being enough. But revenge wasn't the cure either. The truth was, underneath everything, I was hooked on something even harder to quit. Validation. And like any other drug, this one has no finish line. Just a constant whisper in my head that kept moving the goalpost. And I paid any price to silence it. Longer hours, more travel, fewer moments at home. And I know I'm not alone in this spiral. A global study by the Entrepreneurs Organization found that nearly 9 in 10 entrepreneurs struggle with mental health, stress, anxiety, burnout. We celebrate disruption on magazine covers, but behind the scenes, it's quietly breaking people. And we all know addictions are bad, but work addiction? Oh, that's celebrated. Grinding is praised. Hustle is applauded. It won't wreck your body like substances do, but it wrecks your loved ones just as deeply. And that's a trap. Because when the world applauds your addiction, that's even harder to escape. You don't just feel stuck, you convince yourself that you deserve the stuckness. At home, the family joke was my tombstone would read, 1 more minute. My son nicknamed me Phone Boy. Not exactly the superhero name I was hoping for as a dad. But the phone wasn't the addiction. It was just the symbol of it. And when your kid names you after that, it doesn't feel like power anymore. It feels like exposure. Then one night, I came home late, as usual. The house was silent. My daughter was curled against the doorframe, book in hand, asleep in the hallway. I carried her to bed, tucked her in, then just went back to my desk to work. I told myself I was building a future. She's gonna have to understand when she gets older. The truth? I was building a wildfire, quietly stealing the very moments I thought I was working for. That 3 a.m. fight with my wife earlier, she looked at me and said, "You're building all these amazing things. But if you keep going like this, there'll be no one left to share them with." She didn't yell. She whispered. And that cut deeper than any fight we've had. To her, it was like watching someone you love disappear into the very thing they thought would save them. That's the cost of building without an anchor. The silence of loving someone who's here, but not really here. And that night, I realized my wife wasn't fighting me. She was grieving me while I was still alive. But if you thought that seeing the damage would be enough to stop me, it wasn't. I had thousands of conversations in my head over the years, negotiating with myself. Not only will they see one day, but why do they not see I'm doing all of this for them? When the monster whispers not enough, logic doesn't win. The fire does. My fire built my career, my success, my identity. I told myself if I slowed down, it would come crashing down. The work, the money, the respect. And worst of all, I believe if I failed, they'd leave me too. And that fear kept me burning long past empty, telling myself it wasn't about me. It was for them. Change hurts. That's the trap. The monster sells you the lie that the pain killing you is the oxygen keeping you and everything you have alive. So you keep feeding it. The fire was never the enemy. It's a gift. But without fire breaks, it becomes a weapon. You don't need to kill the fire. You need to contain it. To build something strong enough to carry that ambition without breaking the people you love. I call it the disruptor's anchor. 3 fire breaks to keep the flames from burning my life. Number 1, fire needs a fireplace. That's boundaries, hard lines I don't cross. Family goes into the calendar first, and growth at work can't cost a connection at home. Number 2, appoint a truth teller. Someone who can see through the armor and say, you're burning too hot. And for me, that's my wife. My wife has 2 phrases that stop me mid-grind. Pause and I'm here. When she says them, I close the laptop. There's no debate. And number 3, success needs redefinition. I used to think success meant being undeniable. Now I know it just means being present. My ROI isn't return on investment much anymore. It's return on intimacy, on impact, on inner peace. And some weeks I'll ask my wife, have I actually been here? And I'll be honest, I still get this wrong weekly. That's how addictions work. You don't win once, you practice again and again. That's the monster's final trick. Even with these rules, it whispers, you can't slow down without losing everything you built. So I keep practicing. Not to kill the fire, but to make sure I don't lose everything it gave me. My disruption is my drive, my hyper-focus, my fire. It built everything I have. But left unchecked, that same fire burns everything. And that's why I anchor it. Not to save my business, not to prove myself anymore, but to protect the people I love. Because you can't have a new reality with an old mentality. I didn't fully understand that until one day I was with my son. And watching him grow oftentimes feels strangely familiar. He looked up and asked, Dad, why don't I think like the other kids? Why don't they want to play with me? Suddenly, I wasn't looking at my son. I was looking at the boy I once was. I knelt down, held him close, and whispered the words I always needed to hear. You're not too much, not too weird, not alone. You're just early. The world hasn't caught up to you yet. And that's when it hit me. Every rung I climbed, every win I chased was for a boy I thought was broken, but he never was. he never needed fixing. My son became my mirror. But I realized the monster I've been fighting wasn't just mine. It's been waiting for them too. Eager to whisper the same lies, you're not enough. And for years, I let my past shape my future. But I refuse to let my wounds become my kids' inheritance. And that's what's at stake. Every generation either passes down their wounds or they break the cycle. My kids are going to face their own battles, but they don't need to inherit mine. And this isn't just about me or my kids. I know I'm not unique or special in any of this. I'm one story out of many. This addiction to achievement shows up everywhere. In entrepreneurs, yes, but also in parents, leaders, students. Different arenas, same whisper of not enough. Which means the solution can't be just mine anymore. It has to be ours. So here's my challenge for you. If what you're building cost you the people who believed in you before you were undeniable, would it still be worth it? Because disruption will always cost something. The only question is, who's paying the price for it? The monster will whisper, not enough. But the anchor answers back, already loved. And now when the monster says, run, the anchor whispers, stay. Maybe that's the point. Legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you protect while you're still here. So think of the last time you were truly present with someone you love. Not half scrolling, not ticking through your to-do list, really there. You can't keep telling yourself that you're doing it for them if they're the ones paying the price for it. At some point, that lie's gonna run out. That's your anchor. Anchor your fire, or we'll burn what you love.